we are officially part of the 30% Club.
Yahoo! Yeah.
Over the last 5 months, we've driven over 6,000 miles from Texas, and we have finally made it to Alaska. When you last saw us, we had just arrived in Tok, Alaska, and since then we've driven the 135-mile, mostly gravel, Denali Highway to our first major stop in Alaska, Denali National Park.
Alaska is home to 8 U.S. national parks, many of which require a plane or boat to get to, and Denali National Park is one of the most accessible as it's reachable by car. The park is famous for Denali, formerly known as Mount McKinley, which is the highest peak in North America at 20,310 feet and gets its name after a Koyukon Athabascan word that means the Great One. Besides its monumental peak, the park is also known for other beautiful mountain views, alpine terrain, tons of wilderness, and wildlife.
We're visiting the park in June 2022, and due to a landslide, the only road in the park is closed after mile 43 through the summer of 2023. So our experience here is going to be much more limited, but we're going to try to see as much of the first 43 miles as we can.
And in this video, we're going to be exploring the first 15 miles of the park, which, minus some exceptions we'll explain later, is the only part of the park where you can drive a private vehicle.
I think we see Denali. Oh my gosh. We think it's a humongous white mountain, and in all the photos, that's what it looks like. Everyone says you'll know when you see it. That has to be it.
That's nice.
Oh, we've been in the area for a few days, and it's been pretty smoky, rainy, cloudy. We lost all hope that we would see the mountain.
First day in the park.
Oh my gosh.
For our first stop in the park, we've driven a mile 13 to the start of the Savage Alpine Trail. We hear this is one of the best hikes in the first 15 miles of the park, and we're combining the Savage Alpine Trail with the Savage River Trail into one 6-mile hike.
One thing we're loving about this hike so far is that while some of it's been through the trees, they're not super bushy, so you have tons of views the entire time. And just the way the morning light is hitting the mountains right now is so gorgeous. We're going up and up and up. It's a very steady incline, and we should hopefully soon get another peek at Denali. There she is, y'all, Denali, the Great One. We are officially part of the 30% Club.
Yahoo!
If you're not familiar with the 30% Club, only 30% of visitors to Denali National Park actually see the mountain. The other 70% do not due to rain or clouds, so we just feel so lucky to see the mountain. We thought we'd be part of the 70% Club, so we're just so surprised, and this is the best way to start our time here.
We made it to the highest point on the trail. We thought we'd be going up to this point up here, but it seems this is as high as you go. But that doesn't mean you don't have just amazing mountain views basically in every direction you're looking. We're about to start heading down towards the Savage River, and these views hopefully aren't going to go anywhere, but hopefully going down behind this hill, it'll block some of this crazy wind that's up here.
The wind hasn't gotten better.
This part of the trail is much different than previous parts. You're basically walking on the spine of this ridge. There's all these rocks jutting up that you get to walk between and next to. It's much more rugged.
We're now on the Savage River portion of the hike, which is 2 miles round trip, and normally you can do it as a loop and you cross the river via a bridge, but the bridge is currently out, so we'll just be going out and back the same way. And we got so lucky because when we finished the Alpine Trail, it said that this trail was closed due to a bear activity. And right as we were about to leave, we were like, oh, well, I guess we're not doing it. They opened it back up. They said there was a grizzly bear hanging out kind of near the picnic tables this morning, but they think it's long gone now and it's all safe, so hopefully we won't see it, but we'll be looking. We highly recommend combining both hikes into one big hike. The Alpine portion had more of those epic mountain views, whereas this trail had the rushing river and then this really unique rock canyon we got to walk through. And one thing that makes this hike pretty interesting is that we're starting and ending at different trailheads, and they're about 2 miles apart on the road. But thankfully the park has a free shuttle that can shuttle you between them. The shuttle runs every 30 minutes or so, and it can also take you from the visitor center out here in case you don't feel like driving or you don't want to deal with parking. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We made it. Oh, just in the nick of time. Before we head to our next spot in the park, we're gonna whip up a quick lunch. Denali does have a few spots inside the park where you can get food or snacks, as well as there's an area outside the park. But while we're in Alaska, we're trying to cook as much as we can and eat out at a few select spots that we're extra excited about. Made ourselves some pesto bagel sandwiches. I loaded this up with tons of meat, cheese, bacon, topped it with a ooey gooey fried egg. We're calling this one the Denali because it's a great one.
So we're kind of doing things in a weird order while here in the park. Today is supposed to be the clearest day out of all the days we have here, so we're trying to prioritize the hikes that have the best mountain views. That way we can actually see the views and it's not covered by clouds or rain. So next up, we're driving all the way back to the front of the park to the visitor center to hike the Mount Healy Overlook.
The Mount Healy Overlook Trail is about 5 miles with almost 1,700 feet of elevation gain to the main overlook with an option to hike further. And similar to the Savage Alpine Trail, it's said to be one of the best day hikes in the front of the park, especially if you want mountain views.
I don't know if it's because we already did a pretty hard hike this morning, or if this one's just steep, but it feels really steep. Oh man. Basically just going through some trees with the occasional view. We're just huffing and puffing. We're almost there.
We made it to the top.
It's so beautiful. It was worth it. It was worth it. If we had to compare the two hikes today, we'd say that the Savage Alpine Trail has better views on the way up because you're above the tree line in the alpine zone, so you can just see more all around you. It also has better views of Denali. You can see Denali from here, but it's more like the tippy top of it. It's not as much as you could see on the other trail. So if you only have time to do one, we'd say the Savage Alpine Trail is the way to go. But if you have time to do both, definitely do both because they both have gorgeous views and the views are different from each other.
And on this trail, you can continue on a little bit further behind us to the summit. It's an unmaintained trail. It's not that much further, but we've had enough miles today. We are getting tired and all we can think about is ice cream.
Yes.
We may have had to go to 3 different places to finally find these Snickers ice cream bars, but according to our calculations, we've hiked about 13 miles, so we deserve these. Worth it.
We are back in the park and we're driving towards mile 15, which as we mentioned at the beginning of the video, is normally the last place you can drive to in the park in a private vehicle. You normally have to take a bus or some sort of tour to continue on past that point, but there is one way that you can continue on in your own car, and that's by staying at the Teklenika River Campground, which is at mile 29.1, and for the next 3 nights we're going to be camping there and exploring more of the park out that way.
However, we do plan on exploring more of the first 15 miles after we camp, so we're going to fast forward this video to a few days later. We just finished camping at the Teklenika River Campground, which we'll share in our next video, and now we're heading back up to the first 15 miles of the park to check out a couple more spots.
One thing Alaska is famous for is sled dog racing, specifically the Iditarod, which is a long-distance race that occurs every single March. And since 1922, Denali National Park has had sled dogs, which help the park rangers patrol the park in the wintertime. But during the summertime, they offer free dog sled demonstrations 3 times a day, and we obviously could not miss the chance to see some dogs.
To get to the dog sledding demonstration, you can either take the free park shuttle, which leaves 40 minutes before the demonstration, walk 1.5 miles to 2 miles each way along the roadside trail. And there's also very limited parking here, and we didn't want to risk not getting a parking spot, so we took the shuttle. All right, with that said, let's go see some dogs.
My name is Lauren. This is my third summer here in Denali National Park. But I am always excited to see dog demos on my schedule because I am coming off of my first winter working with these dogs actually. So getting to share with all of you and teach you all about the amazing things that these dogs do and what they do for the park is one of my favorite things to get to do. Who wants to see these dogs run and then we can chat some more about them? Awesome. They only respond, they only run if the crowd here gives the biggest howl that they possibly can. And one of the things I've learned most through and through this winter, and that these guys show us every day, is the importance of teamwork. Team that we have right here, we have positions just like in other sports. So up front here, we have Venture and Matrix. They're what we call lead dogs. Typically, lead dogs they've run a couple seasons. They kind of know what they're doing. They're really good at taking voice commands from the musher. They're good at picking up trail. We have some lead dogs that are amazing at creating trail as well. These guys out in the winter are patrolling this vast, millions of acres of Denali National Park wilderness, protecting this wilderness. There's no trails out there. These guys have to create trails sometimes. Behind the lead dogs, we have Swing. This is Cupcake. Swing is also a good place to put dogs that are maybe up-and-coming leaders that are going to learn from those older dogs in front. In between Swing and what we call the little dogs in the back, we'd have team dogs. Depending on the size of the sled or the size of the weight that we're pulling is how many team dogs we're going to have. Anywhere from 8 to 10 dogs, sometimes a lot bigger teams depending on how much weight we're trying to pull. In the back here, we have Munchkin and Elsie, and they're what we call wheel dogs, like I mentioned. They're right in front of the sled. Oftentimes, they're bigger dogs, but not always. Those wheel dogs are also sometimes where we'll put dogs that might need a little bit more verbal push. They're really close to the musher, and so if there's a dog that maybe is a little more distracted ahead in the clouds, wheel might be a good spot for them so that that musher can be talking to them.
Dogs are so cute.
Oh, you're like smiling. What a good lunch. That was so much fun getting to learn about the sled dogs and how they work together as a team, and you could just tell how much they love their job. They love to run. As soon as they knew that they had the chance to run, they were all just freaking out. They were so excited. And then the cherry on top, of course, was getting to pet some of the dogs. They were so sweet. We just had smiles on our faces the entire time. And you can go on a sled dog tour in the summer in Alaska, but they'll be using one of those carts like you saw in the demonstration versus like a traditional sled, unless you want to take like a helicopter up to some snow and go on a more traditional one. So we're gonna save that for a future visit in the winter, but just getting to learn more and see them now was a must-do here in the park.
It's one of those unique national park experiences, kind of like the pie at Capitol Reef. It just makes visiting the national park even more fun. But now we're gonna take the 2-mile roadside trail back to the visitor center.
Completion of the new railroad in 1923 opened up Alaska's interior, and Mount McKinley was the star attraction. Tourists with time and money to spare were eager to experience this new national park. Many traveled thousands of miles.
We just grabbed our patch and went to the visitor center to check out this little museum they have, which we highly recommend. And we're now off to our final hike within the first 15 miles of the park, Horseshoe Lake, which is an easy 2-mile hike.
So far this trail has been pretty easy, but don't let the easiness of it discourage you from giving it a shot. You go through beautiful forests, get down to the lake that has that awesome aqua blue color. You've got mountain views all around. There's even a beaver dam to check out. And then you come down by the Nenana River. It just offers so much variety in such a short distance.
While we may not be getting the full Denali experience because of the road closures, the first 15 miles of the park still offers a lot to do to keep you busy for a couple days. And in our next video, we're going to share our experience from mile 15 to 43, including camping at the Teklanika River campground, riding the bus, and doing an off-trail hike. He's gonna run just in case it falls over.
I know.
Don't fall!
Let's see if Elsie will let us see your paws. Hi, Elsie. Hi, Elsie. She's just yeah, she's just gonna do her thing, and we're gonna let that happen.
Okay. I'd let you eat my microphone. You can eat it if you want. And it's Kona snuggle time. I missed you. I missed you. Oh, I missed you.